Hi and welcome back to Hidden Blessings Homestead. In today's video we're going to be collecting our elderberry flowers to help finish off some of the herbs that we're collecting for our cold and flu tea. Both the flowers and the berries of the black elderberry plant are diaphoretic, which means that they help you to perspire, which can be beneficial during fevers and to expel toxins. So they're great in teas for cold and flu. The flowers also offer anti-catarrhal properties, helping the body to eliminate mucus. Elderberry flowers are diuretic, laxative, antiseptic, antiviral, and also anti-inflammatory. They are also high in vitamin C and antioxidants, so they are great for boosting your immune system. But before we harvest the plant, I just want to make note that there is poisonous plants that do flower at the same time that are really deadly plants. And so I just want to cover that quickly beforehand. I am not trying to fully identify any of these plants. This is a plant that we bought from the nursery and we have grown in this spot. I did not take it from the wild. And so if you are gathering in the wild, I highly suggest you really look into some videos on identifying the poisonous lookalikes. Spotted water hemlock is very common in Ontario. There are other species of water hemlock that are common here, as well as you have poison hemlock, which is another species. And so I'm going to put links in the video as well as in the description to help you to better identify some of these plants, but definitely you want to research before you collect the flowers. So a few things about elderberry is that it is both a woody plant, so it's deciduous, but it also has herbaceous on it in the newer growth. Let's see here. Get some herbaceous. Here we go. I would say the leaf is the most similar to spotted water hemlock, but with spotted water hemlock, the vein on the leaf goes to the cut. So it's deeply cut and the vein goes in between to the notched out part. So if you can remember, vein to cut, pain in gut. And with the poison hemlock, the leaves are completely different. The inside of the elderberry is not hollow. It's got like a corky, almost pith inside, but as you can see, it is completely full, not hollow at all. Whereas the other two are hollow stems. So that's one way you can tell. And then the stem, even though it does have some herbaceous, the older stems have these bumps. And I'll try to insert a close-up photo of those. So they're kind of warty almost on the outside. Whereas the other two have purple blotches. It's kind of like a warning sign. Sometimes you have to look further down on the plant of the water hemlock and the poison hemlock to see the purple striping, but sometimes it's throughout the plant. Also, if you see a plant that you think is elderberry, you can wait and allow the flowers to turn into berries. Because if it is elderberry, they will turn into nice, beautiful blackberries. But if it is poison hemlock, they will actually turn into a seed. They do not become a berry. But yeah, just be really careful. Make sure you've done a lot of research if you're going to go into the wild to collect your elderberries. So as you can see behind me, this elderberry plant grows quite large. We've been waiting for them to open and to get pollen. And so they're just starting to get to the right stage. If I wait too long, then the flowers are going to start to be too old as well. So one thing that you'll notice about elderberry flowers is they're very flat. They are not a cone shape. So if anything, they're flat and upright like that. So that's something else to look for. As you can see with this plant, we have some dieback and that is the way an elderberry grows. So we've given it room here to spread back and forth. It's at the edge of the garden in kind of a little bit of a wet spot. And last year, these branches were alive and flowering. They'll go for 3 years and then they will die back, but then the new growth has flowers on it. So you want to wait till the dew is off the flowers, a nice sunny morning, but it's best to get them before the heat of the day. It's very soft and sweet. So the scent apparently comes from the pollen, the taste as well. That's why it's important to get it at just the right time. Alright, so we have our elderflowers that we've collected. And normally with some herbs I would wash them. As you can see, there's a little spider on there. Bye-bye. Alright, so normally I would wash my herbs or things that I gathered, but in this case you don't want to wash off the pollen. So you just want to take a look over it, make sure there's no bugs, maybe a gentle tap. But that's the most we're going to do. And to be honest, when we put it in the dehydrator, the bugs are going to disappear anyways. So I'm just going to snip a little bit shorter so it fits all right. Yeah. All right, so we're going to lay them down in the dehydrator. So you can dry them on a screen, but right now it is really hot and humid, and that is likely not going to work for us here. But if you live in a drier climate, then you can go ahead and do that. Now, all green parts are poisonous of this plant, so you want to make sure you get rid of those leaves. Don't want to be adding them. Also later, we will be taking the flowers off the stem when they're finished drying. I just find for arranging and dehydrating, it's going to be easier to dry them on the stem than to remove them from the stem. So we're ready to turn the dehydrator on. So we want to turn it down to our lowest setting because we want to get the most benefit from it. We don't want to kill any of the medicinal compounds. So that's 35 degrees Celsius is the lowest for this dehydrator. So I've actually removed these from the dehydrator already because our dehydrator is just in constant use right now. We've got so many medicinals that we're harvesting continually at this point. So I've just put them in a bowl. We cut the main stem off as we were putting them in the dehydrator, but as you can see, there's a little bit of stem left. I'm going to try to remove as much as possible, as the stem is a little bit toxic, but the little bits that are attached at the end or that fall in will be okay, but we're just going to remove the majority. So this is some of what I've done so far. So as you can see, there's still little bits of stem, but mostly it's removed. I wanted to make note of that because that's one of the questions I had, because I knew the stems were toxic. How much of the stem can you have in your tea? From everything I've seen and researched, you just remove most of it. As you can see, that is what we've removed, and that's what's left.